What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Banter podcast. I'm back. I'm Brennan Kirkpatrick. I'll be your host today after taking a week absence there on a little vacation back down to Florida. But you saw these two last week. Of course, the analysts for episode 18 of season 2, Korey and Kyle Pritchard. Boys, how are you doing today? Hopefully better than I am.
Doing all right.
That's great.
I'm doing A1.
Brennan, do you want to explain why we're virtual today?
I was just going to get to that. So I am a bit under the weather. You can probably tell by my even more nasally voice than I usually have. Woke up, felt like crap, texted the boys, and was like, I can't do an in-person thing today. So we're here virtually because I'm not trying to skip 2 weeks in a row because I love you guys at Banter. Love these boys here. Love you, the audience. So, but I am hosting today, so that was already planned, but it actually worked out a lot in my favor this week. But anyways, as we wrap up season 2 here, we have this could be the final episode. Maybe we have one next week. Let's go over the rules here. So these two, they're going to get however many questions. They're going to get 25 minutes to answer however many questions they can get through. They reach an agreement on one of the questions, they're going to get a minute to talk it out. They disagree, they're going to get 35 seconds to explain their case, then a minute 30 to try and reach an agreement. Their goal is to get 10 agreements. If they cannot reach 10 agreements within the 25-minute time spot, they go to the speed round. So without further ado, boys, if you are ready, now let's get into it here real quick. So the MLB Trade Deadline just passed a couple days ago. So let's talk about that a little bit. Let's start with baseball. And I want to hear who you guys think won this year's trade deadline. So what team won the MLB Trade Deadline this year? All right, and they're typing their answers. Kyle and Korey. Okay, a bit of a different kind of answer for both of them. I'm going to let Kyle go first here. So Kyle, or go ahead.
All right, so I said the Los Angeles Dodgers, and let's just be honest here. So they got two of the better pitchers in the trade deadline here. So they got Flaherty from the Tigers, and they got Michael Kopech from the White Sox. Really, the only part of their game that right now is not doing too great because they just have so many injuries on that front. Aside from that, Ohtani's playing well. Everyone else. The machine is greased up pretty well, aside from that one cog of pitching, and I think they went out and did it. And I understand Korey's answer here, though.
And Korey, winners in the other way.
Yeah, no, I think it's the Miami Marlins. I think as far as trade deadline big things go, it's the teams that are completely switching their identity or going full speed ahead at one. And the Marlins went full rebuild. They lost guys like Tanner Scott and they traded away their big names. They finished with 14 prospects after this trade deadline that they got in. They got 6 prospects for Tanner Scott alone. I think that is huge for a rebuild. I think that's exactly what the Marlins needed. Whereas the Dodgers, arguably, if they didn't do anything, there's still a chance that they're fine. The Marlins needed this, and they got it.
All right, and you guys talk it out here. Minute 30.
Kind of add to your point. I think I saw something on Twitter today where I think their payroll is now less than a 60-second ad in the Super Bowl right now. So their payroll is absolutely nothing right now, and
it's gone.
Really,
But they have so many prospects. They have so many they put. Instead of putting all their eggs in one basket, they just got a bigger basket and put more eggs in it. And I think in baseball, that's exactly what you need. You need to have as many different options that maybe one of them will hit as possible. Whereas, I understand the Dodgers, they totally got what they needed. They got some of the better pitchers, like you're saying. But there wasn't really anything that they desperately needed to kind of shift their team around, which is why I just liked the Marlins' approach of being let's just throw everything everywhere, get as much as we physically can, quantity over quality.
We kind of answered this question a little differently. Obviously,
100% different lenses of it.
But I think, to my credit, the Dodgers are in a very tough division right now. You know, they have the Padres kind of steeping up. I think Diamondbacks are in a wild card spot right now. Very tough division, particularly in the NL right now. But I would probably agree that the fact that they quite literally burned the whole house down. The Marlins,
yeah.
All right.
yeah.
So
I think they
everything
even
gone.
waived some of the guys. I think they waived Josh Bell. Like they couldn't even find any spot for him in the trade deadline. So
They went full speed ahead towards the direction. They were like, "This is what we're gonna do. Nothing's gonna distract."
all this year. Admittedly, they did pretty good last year, but yeah, they're not going to do nothing this year.
Yeah, the Marlins traded away their pretty much.
Maybe they should
all
get an
their
outdoor
key
ballpark.
players. Yeah, it's not a great ballpark. I've been there.
It's like Miami, they would.
Same. It's rough. It's a weird one, man.
It's weird. I was not a fan of Marlins Park. But anyways, let's move on here. And let's go to the NBA and let's talk about the Olympics. So you guys, shout out to you two, did an hour 40-minute long podcast about the Olympics. But let's talk about one of the sports in the Olympics, and that relates to the NBA, and that's basketball. And two players who had great years in the NBA, Tyrese Haliburton and Jason Tatum, they did not play in the Team USA's win against Nikola Jokic in Serbia. Even though they won, should Steve Kerr continue to bench these caliber players in the Olympics as they move forward?
Me.
All right, and there you go. You guys reached your second agreement here. A minute to talk it out.
Yeah, I mean, starting off with what you said specifically, shortened game gets more rest for players. I think that's appealing to the NBA. They don't want their stars getting injured. Another name that you didn't mention, Brennan, that rested all of the South Sudan game was Joel Embiid. And I think that bench specifically, like that benching choice specifically, calls out another thing, which is Steve Kerr is really respecting the countries that are in the Olympics by doing this. Like, he's playing to the matchups. He's not like, let's just throw out the best players because we're going to be fine. Like, he's playing to the specific matchups and doing things. I think he's playing the Olympics the exact way it should be played, in the exact American style and the way the NBA wants it.
And kind of to your point, just because they're all NBA like surefire, like some of the best players in the league, does not mean that you can't set them up the right way. Like you can't just shove out five people and be like, oh, they're the best players on their team. You kind of have to play to it, definitely.
Yeah, and I think Tatum said after the game that he felt humbled by getting benched for that, and then he proceeded to start the next game. So I think it really just moves in towards the mindset that you want specifically for a Summer Olympics.
And the game itself is just so much shorter. It's a whole 8 minutes less, so there's less time to even get those minutes in for some of the more popular players.
Yeah. All right. So we agree with Steve Kerr's decisions here to bench Tatum and Embiid. But let's go here and let's talk about the NFL. So the night we're recording this, Thursday, is the Hall of Fame game. So the NFL is coming back. I'm excited for that. I know you two excited about that as well. Let's talk about the 2020 draft class, though. So all of them all the big name quarterbacks in that class have gotten paid. That doesn't necessarily mean that their career success is going to determine, or that pay is going to determine their career success. So which one of these quarterbacks from the 2020 class is going to hoist that Lombardi Trophy first?
I don't hate that answer.
Wow. All right. Two different answers here, both in the NFC. I'm going to let Korey go first on this one, though.
All right, so I said Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers. Honestly, of all of these teams here, I think the only team that I can say is definitively getting better right now, moving closer to a Super Bowl trophy, is the Packers. I think the Eagles are kind of inconsistent in what they're doing. I don't think there's any guarantees with Joe Burrow on the Bengals right now, especially with him specifically and his injuries. I think the only thing that I can be sure about that's improving is Jordan Love. I mean, I love Tua and I love I love Miami and everything like that, but right now it doesn't seem to be in the cards for them to be winning. So I like Jordan Love and their upward trajectory.
Shout out to my fantasy quarterback, Jordan Love, there. But anyways, Kyle, go ahead.
I totally agree with a lot you just said there, but I said Jalen Hurts because particularly I looked at the lens of who are the two guys that have done it already, have gotten to the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow. And I think Jalen Hurts is in the better position right now compared to Burrow, because you talked about the injury concerns. I think he lost a lot of good players on offense. He lost Tyler Boyd. He lost Joe Mixon, who's been there for God knows how long. And aside from Jamar Chase and everyone else there, like the receiving corps is not too great. But obviously, I think even without Jason Kelsey, I think the offensive line in Philadelphia is really, really great. Still have Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley. I think they definitely have a real shot now. I think they do.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, as far as this season goes and next season, like Hurts has all of the targets available to him to shine. Like I really like Devonta Smith. I really like they've got a lot of things going for them on the Eagles. But like I said, Jordan Love, the Packers seem to be going forward for the next few years. Whereas genuinely, there's a chance that the Eagles fall apart with what they did this year. Like, so I can't be immediately guaranteed on them if I'm not fully sure that it's even working right now, much less in the future.
Sure. And to your credit, they did stumble pretty bad at the end of last year. And I do want to give a lot of credit to Jordan Love right now and the Packers, because they've done some phenomenal things in the last few months, even going into this. They got Josh Jacobs. They're doing some really great things. But personally, I need to see it to believe it first, if you know what I mean. Which is why I did.
Sure.
I would say he's in my second tier, Jordan Love, between I would say it's Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow.
If you want to say based on experience, I can go with Jalen Hurts over Joe Burrow. Because the one thing I will say about Jordan Love is I was worried about him not having as much playoff experience, because I think the only quarterback of this group that without playoff experience I think could go in right now and win a Super Bowl, if things are right for him, would be Tua Tagovailoa. I think if he goes in now, I think he has the right kind of mindset to win without a lot of experience, but he doesn't have the team to do it. And so it just doesn't really work. So I think Jordan Love, it's going to take time. Jalen Hurts, maybe he'll get there now and win it. So I'll take that.
Again, I think honestly, you've convinced me that they're probably second up. I think they're doing some really, really good things in Green Bay in such a short time and such.
Yeah,
just that whole system is really good for quarterbacks. It seems.
I do like the Josh Jacobs pickup. I didn't bring it up, but I like the Josh Jacobs pickup, which I think is one of the things that propels them.
The Packers have had 3 main quarterbacks the last 30 years. It's really incredible.
Yeah.
Jordan Love, shout out my guy. Completely disagree with the Tua take, though. that dude is a choker in the biggest games of all time.
He has had one. He's had one chance.
He choked
give him some. No, he didn't even play that game, though, did he?
Yeah, he did.
He played the game.
He played. But anyways,
that game against Buffalo.
Yeah, and he lost the game.
No. The only one he played was against the Chiefs. He didn't play against Buffalo.
He played Buffalo in the last week of the season, and he blew the division title.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's go to the NHL here, the final sport we haven't covered yet. And let's talk about some other teams, right on the bubble here. Playoff contention or the Stanley Cup in general. So what team do you think will take the biggest step forward towards the Stanley Cup next season? And this is just they can be from not going to the playoffs, from going to the playoffs, from losing. And you guys agree. Wow.
That's
New
crazy.
Jersey Devils. That's a good pick. I like it. So I'll give you a minute to talk it out.
Yeah, Kyle, I'll let you talk most of this, but all I'm going to say, biggest problem for the Devils last season was goaltending. They completely solved that problem by bringing in Markstrom. So that's what
totally.
I like about it.
I think we forget about how they were really, really good 2 years ago. I believe they were the second seed in their conference. They were they took that series off of the Rangers. And I think when they get Dougie Hamilton back, who is a very, very good defenseman who they have for a very long contract, they get him back off of injury. They should rebound. I'm not saying they're going to win the whole dang thing, but they're definitely going to be in that contention easily. Because I think Carolina got weaker. I think New York's going to stay about where they are. So I think they're definitely going to be
and major publications completely agree. I was looking at one set of power rankings that have them going up as far as 11, where they were ending last season in the 20s. And it's really all starts with that defense, like you said, injuries on defense last year, bringing in a goaltender as well. I think that creates more consistency across the team.
Yeah. All right, New Jersey Devils. I like the pick there, especially with a weaker Metro coming into this year. But anyways, let's go back to the MLB and let's talk about more bubble teams. And this time, it's in the National League wild card. So it's a very close race in the National League for the wild card. Which 3 teams do you think from the National League will get in? And you guys reach an agreement by having the 3 same teams. The order doesn't matter for this. All right. We got that.
All right. So we got 2 of them. We got 2
You
of
got 2 of them? All right. It's the Diamondbacks versus the Mets here. Kyle, or not Diamondbacks.
No, we agreed
Braves.
on the D-backs.
Braves and the Mets. Ooh, okay. I'm going to let Kyle go first and explain the Braves, I guess.
So I think the 3 that are in right now are probably going to be the 3 that's going to stay, because I think, honestly, I think the Braves are, out of the 3 that I chose, are the best out of those wild card spots. So the reason why they're not in a division right now is because the Phillies are so much higher than everyone else in the National League. I just think personally, the Mets are getting better. They're getting up there, but for me, I'm a see it to believe it guy. Unless they consistently get those wins, and there's not. I don't know. Again, Grimace is not there anymore, so we'll see. And I love what the Pirates are doing right now, but I think it's showing what the future is going to hold, not the present.
All right, and Korey.
All right, so I totally agree with Padres. I totally agree with Padres and Diamondbacks. I think the Diamondbacks have the hitting prowess to move up going forward, especially after the All-Star break. Padres just got Tanner Scott. They got what they needed as far as big players go. But the one I disagree with, I think the Mets are going to make things. You say you got to see it to believe it, Kyle. What more do you have to see? Like, sure, there is some confusion game by game in terms of consistency. They feel inconsistent game by game. But if you look at it in terms of long blocks, last 10 games, no Grimace, 7-3 in the last 10 games. And they did that beforehand. Like, you look at teams like the Pirates, you look at teams like the Braves, they're like 5-5, 4-6 in their last 10. And that's how they have been here and there in different times of the season. The Mets keep consistently just improving a little bit. They're only a game and a half behind the Braves. They're going to take it.
Okay. That's fair. I just think that, and I can make some amends here. I think that entire division is very, very tough right now. Obviously, I said the Phillies are like sky high in the NL. I think the Braves, they kind of stood where they are even after all the injuries. They're doing okay, as Brennan hawks along. They're doing okay. And I think the Mets, I do agree, are steadily getting up there. It's just the fact that kind of how bad they started the season, it kind of has a sour taste in my mouth still.
Sure, but for as bad as they may have started the season, they've only been going up from there. Like, I understand why it's confusing whenever you watch them. Like what? Yesterday they won. The day before they won. Day before they were won 15-2. But then you go back and they lost to the Braves 9-2. Like, I understand the confusion in terms of inconsistency, but all they have been doing has been catching up and making up for their mistakes early in the season. They win in the win column, they've only been getting more, and so I don't see any reason for that to stop. They have enough personnel, enough high level personnel to make that happen, and I really don't think that's this. I can say the same about the Braves.
That's fair. And you know what? Particularly recently, they've been beating some good teams. They beat the Twins recently, 15-2. They actually beat the Braves, as we're talking about this now.
Did they sweep the Twins in this series?
No, the Twins won last night.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they beat the Yankees pretty handily as well. Like, so I could see a universe where that happens. I don't. And
they're only a game and a half back. It's not like they're that far.
Sure, I understand that, but I don't really see how the Braves drop out, but I think I'll give it to you. I think we'll see what happens, because the Braves have been pretty good consistently for
the Mets
pretty recently. They've been good.
Another team to watch out for in that division. The Phillies have not been hot, and the Braves are slowly inching up on that division lead there. So you could have the Mets make it in, the Braves also as the division winners there.
Braves have not been inching up, man. Braves are again 4-6 in their last 10 games. They're
5-5.
Phillies are falling. They're just existing.
Phillies are 3-7. Braves are 5-5. 6 games
at this point.
Anyways, let's go back. Let's go back to the NBA. I think I know the answer to Korey's answer for this, rather. But what is your biggest takeaway from the Summer League as that has officially wrapped up? And I feel like I do know Korey's answer here. Yeah, there it is.
Do something related to this.
So we got different answers. I'm gonna let Korey go first, actually, on this one, and back up his Rockets.
All right, so this is specifically about the Houston Rockets, and this is kind of a takeaway from the last two summer leagues. Because last summer league, we saw Cam Whitmore win the MVP, and Jabari Smith Jr. had a great job, did a great job in the summer league. This year, obviously, Reed Shepherd put on a show, 20 points per game, did a great job finding Cam Whitmore again, who also had a spectacular campaign. So I think we're seeing in these summer leagues that the Rockets are drafting better talent than like other teams around. They are winning in terms of getting young talent. We just need to show how that's going to translate into actual regular season games, because people, even seeing Reed Shepherd just play, everybody is agreeing, what's he going to do in the regular season though? Like, where are we going to play him? And we need to figure that out. Ime Udoka, figure it out, because we got all the talent we need.
All right, and Kyle. Go ahead.
I don't disagree with any of that there. I think that the Rockets have been doing kind of like under the radar very, very well at drafting, particularly recently. But I think Alexander Sarr, he did not have a very, very – and I understand that Summer League is not the end-all, be-all for how NBA players are going to project into the league, but he did not have a very good Summer League, like, at all. He had the worst PER of any first-rounder in the Summer League. I think it was a 3.8. He had an awful game against the Blazers where he went 0 for 15 from the field in a 2-point game. So any significant play you saw there could have won them the game. I understand, again, doesn't mean everything, but for a guy that was drafted that high, not a great performance.
Sure. I totally get that. And I think the reason why people are so shocked by Sarr is because you see guys like a Victor Wembanyama come out and do big things. But I mean, honestly, I don't. Even whenever Brennan was talking about Alexandre Sarr from before the draft, talking about how he should go number one, I said that's not a build that is guaranteed to work in the NBA. Like, we've seen it work recently in the last couple of years, but it's just not a build that always 100% works. And then whenever people fall out of the league with that build, people just forget about them. They don't realize that means that it's inconsistent. So I think that's why you're shocked about it, but that's not anything new. What is new is that the Rockets have all the talent in the world and no way to figure it out. I mean, we've got to see what's going on here with the Rockets as far as it correlates to this next season. Because regardless, whether you like Sarr or not, Sarr's not making an impact on next season, even if he wins Rookie of the Year. He's not making an impact in terms of the standings. The Rockets may shake things up in the West. So that's why, in terms of takeaways from the Summer League, that's the one thing that I think you can take away and look at.
And I agree. I agree that the Rockets could make some noise next year. And they even almost did last year. They almost did make a playoff spot, if I remember correctly, in the last year.
Yeah, so we kind of fell out at the end.
They need to figure out how to manage this stuff. I agree with that. Because, again, Summer League is not the end-all, be-all.
And Summer League is a great thing to reinforce specifically what the Rockets have been doing. So,
but I'm saying for Sarr, again, not the end-all, be-all.
At an individual level, in terms of rookies, all eyes are on Alexandre Sarr. I totally agree.
All right, there we go. So
agree more that the Rockets they're hitting it all Pistons. I agree.
Awesome. That is 6 agreements here. You need 4 more to avoid the speed round, and we're gonna go to the National Football League. And let's talk about some rule changes here. Of course, we saw the new kickoff rule implemented tonight, which is kind of weird but kind of cool at the same time. It was definitely interesting to see. But we're going to be talking about the Sony's Hawkeye tracking system to be able to spot the ball. The NFL implementing this. I don't know when it's happening, but they are trying it out to make spotting the ball more accurate and make critical calls in crucial situations. So how effective do you guys think this new technology will be in making sure the calls are correct? Or do you think there'll be errors or whatever to go on with it? All right, so that's
understandable.
All right, you guys, totally, it's about time combined human check-ins. I think that's an agreement.
As part it is. I give us. Yeah,
I'll give you.
I think I understand that Korey doesn't want this unbridled, just give it to the computers. I understand that. That's fair. But it's been given to the humans for so long at this point that I can understand to have that transition. Again, I love the chain gang. But
I think it has to be a transition though. It has to be slow because right now there have been a lot of things with AI that it doesn't always work 100%. We can't have situations where we're solely relying on the check-in and allowing it to make calls that are blatantly incorrect because something just messed up. That's why I think right now we 100% have to have the human check-in. But if you do that, all it can do is improve things. All it can do is cause it to be like, to like show like certain clips where it's like, wow, that was a great call, but like they did a great job tracking that, making a clear, like something not look so clear, like they made it clear, got a perfect call out of it, and that'll be impressive. But it can't override just basic human knowledge and human eye.
And if I'm being honest, it should only be used in stretch cases where it is a tough
Yeah,
call.
exactly. It has a specific purpose, but in those specific purposes, all it can do is improve. I'm just saying it can't override everything in general. The one thing I will say about what I argue, though, is I am worried about time and how that may impact different, like the length of game if you're constantly checking in. But overall, I think it'll be an improvement in terms of accuracy.
I think the checks and balances of both human error and like the computer possible error, they should work well, I think.
Should.
All right, 7 agreements there. Let's go to Major League Baseball for the final question I have prepared in that sport. And let's continue to talk about the trade deadline here. So we're going to be talking about some players who got traded. So what player who was recently traded do you think will have the biggest impact on their new team moving forward for the rest of the season? Korey's sticking with his boy here, obviously.
I love him.
And Kyle typing his answer. Okay, I like that answer a lot, Kyle.
Sure.
I'm going to let you go
Nice
first
pick.
with it.
Me?
Yeah.
So I said Randy Rosarina for the Seattle Mariners. Personally, again, we're talking about tough divisions here. The Mariners had the top spot in the NL West the AL West for quite some time at this point, and the Astros are sneaking up, and the Rangers are sneaking up, real good. Particularly the Astros, who started the season like a bunch of games under 500, and they've somehow steadily climbed back up. I think personally, I think this makes this has the Mariners stay afloat in this division. I think this will maybe not help them coast to the division like championship, but I think it'll help them certainly in that regard.
All right, and Korey, go ahead.
All right, so I said Tanner Scott. Again, I understand. I've been talking about him a lot. But the reason why I'm emphasizing him is because I didn't talk about it as much with the last question, but the Padres, I really like what the Padres did in terms of getting 2 really solid pitchers. Tanner Scott is the bigger one for me. I mean, obviously an all-star reliever. But they also just got Brian Honing, who's another really solid reliever that's just going to make things better in their bullpen, make things more consistent, and really drive it for the Padres as they push for that wild card spot. So I think in terms of impact on winning, I think that those moves are huge.
All right. You can talk it out. You got a minute 30.
That's fair. I understand. That I think the most important position in the league right now is a good bullpen, and I think with the combination of everything else that the Padres are doing right now, that certainly helps. But I think again that whole division right now is super tight, and
which is why it's so important for them to have gotten these moves. I think in terms of impact on this rest of this season, those 2 moves are going to be looked at as things that allowed the Padres to propel themselves to winning if they can get that wild card spot, or if they can even push for more than that. Like that, those moves are big in this specific moment for them.
So, are you saying in the context of like the Mariners probably still have a decent shot at making the playoffs regardless? This for the Padres can set them
in the context of this season and making changes of this season. This is more important for the Padres than it is for the Mariners to get a Rosarina. But I mean, like I think huge talent, obviously, for Randy Rosarina. Like that's a big get, and that's huge. That's obviously huge. But I was just reading it in terms of the end of this season. I think overall I can probably agree that a Rosarino is a better move for the Mariners, better high quality player. But I think for the end of this season, spotlight is really on the Padres here as they try to push for that playoff spot.
I think it maybe sets the bar a little higher for the Padres. If that's what we're talking about, I agree with that. But I think a Rosarina can definitely pay dividends for them. For the Mariners,
100%,
going through the season.
All right, so we reach agreement number 8 there. And the time is up, actually. So that means it's speed round time. This is kind of going off of the Olympics a little bit. It's a very challenging speed round, I think, depending on where you guys have different players and whatnot. But it's kind of Olympics themed, kind of like just sports in general. So ESPN did release their top 100 athletes of this century so far. And a lot of people, there were mixed reviews about it. But I want you guys to come up with your top 10. And the way you get a point is if you have both of them. So don't type the answers in. We're just going to read them off one by one. We'll start with 10, go down to 1. Just add.
Oh, can we start with 1? Can we just start with 1?
I absolutely know who number 1 is. Yeah, I was going to say. I absolutely know who number one is.
Well, then you'll reach an agreement regardless, you know? So,
I mean, I'm not quite done with 10 yet, though.
You should have been done.
Like, I'm ready to start at the top, and then from there I can keep building my list.
I don't know how.
Okay. Easy. That's the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's super easy if you do it that way. And I don't know if he wants to.
Well,
fine.
It's gonna be easy regardless because you guys will still get the top 3 right. It's just gonna add more suspense. You know, if you don't have 10 through 3 correct, but you get the final 2 right, then you still get the points. Right? It's just gonna add more suspense to the audience. But anyways, Korey, whenever you're ready, let's go here.
We're doing 10? Number 10 first?
Number 10. So whenever you're ready, Kyle, let's hear your number 10.
Oh, Lord.
Did you also not do it?
I did not. I thought this was just supposed to be a guessing game.
I'm ready on 10.
Did you guys at least do top 5?
I did top 10. It's just.
Do you have a top 10 list, Kyle?
Do not. I don't think I read this entirely.
How many do you have? Kyle?
0.
We're editing this, dude. Edit this out.
All right. Well, that's kind of a predicament. Kyle, you're just going to have to go off the top of your head here. Kyle, all right. So, Korey, you have a list. Kyle, who is your grade? All right. Just give me your number 1, Kyle, right now.
My number 1, Michael Phelps is number 1.
Korey, do you have Michael Phelps number 1?
I have LeBron James 1.
All right. Kyle, yeah, I don't know about that.
You're crazy.
Dude, LeBron James has been here every single year of this century has mattered. The only person who has longer longevity of this century is Tom Brady. Michael Phelps is done for his century. LeBron James every single year.
Michael Phelps is the most decorated Olympian of all
time. I agree. I totally agree. Wow. I totally agree.
That is highest age of sports, dude.
Okay.
Number 1 is Michael Phelps. There's no way it's not Michael Phelps.
Guy, who's your number 2? Who's your number 2 here?
I would probably go Brady 2.
Brady? Korey?
I had Brady 2 as well.
All right. That's good. You need one more point. And Kyle, who is your 3? Probably.
I'll just take a shot from the dark here. I will say Serena Williams.
I have Phelps.
Okay. All right. Number 4.
Third.
Kyle, who would you put at number 4?
The thing is, I think I read this list at some point, but it's my memory is a little gone.
But you can pull up the list and judge it.
I know that Michael Jordan is either 4 or 5.
But where would you rank Michael Jordan then?
Michael Jordan?
That is not correct at all.
How?
Yeah, I just realized what I just said. Michael Jordan did not.
What?
Oh, I'm thinking of the wrong list then. I'm thinking
it's this century.
It's specifically the 2000s. That's why I'm saying LeBron James the one man
to 2024.
Okay.
Well,
I'm on levels of screwed up right now, aren't I? Roger Federer.
Wow.
Okay. Who was your?
That's high for Federer. Serena Williams.
Oh, so one spot off. All right, Kyle. Who would you give 5 to?
This is not fair.
Look, just pull up the list and look through the top 10. Assess your order based off of that.
Welcome to the speed round that's going to take 10 minutes.
Let Korey go first.
I don't think that's how that works because I want you're.
Yeah, I think you may rig your answer here.
Yeah, Kyle, you're going first here. So,
Lord.
Pull up that list. You can just shout a
Steph
name
Curry.
out too. Steph Curry. All
What?
Corey, who is your number 5?
Not Steph Curry. I had Messi.
Okay, respect. Messi the GOAT. Kyle, who would you put at 6?
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Corey, who's your 6?
Simone Biles.
All right, that's a solid answer. Kyle, who would you put at 8?
Simone Biles, dude. Oh,
all right. Did you say Simone
Let's
Biles
go
for
with-
8?
I know, I said Simone.
Wait, are we on
Simone
7?
Biles earlier.
No, you're on 8 because you said Simone Biles.
I said Simone Biles 6.
All right, so this is 7. Kyle, you're 7.
Rafael Nadal.
Nadal, okay, that's solid. Corey?
A lot of tennis for you. I have Kobe Bryant.
Kobe, okay. Kyle?
I was gonna say Kobe. Oh no.
Kyle, you're 8.
A-Rod. I don't know.
Hey, Aaron Rodgers. Wow. All right. Oh, hey, Alex Rodriguez
not
or
Aaron Rodgers. Alec Rodriguez.
Alex Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
Yeah, no, it was obviously not Aaron Rodgers. It was Alex Rodriguez was what he was saying.
Rodgers.
I have Tiger Woods.
Okay. All right. And is this 9 here?
Yeah, we're on 9.
Kyle, you got to clutch up here.
What athletes have not been said yet? There's been no hockey players. I would put Crosby. I would put Crosby up there, but I don't think Corey would, much less in the top 10. I'm just looking at a bunch of faces right now.
I think Crosby was like 19th on ESPN's rankings.
That's a little weird, I feel like. Can I say the same person multiple times?
No, you cannot. No.
Okay, I guess that is kind of cheating, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. You got 5 seconds. 4.
This century?
3.
I'll say Usain
2.
Bolt.
Okay. All right. Corey?
You said Usain Bolt? That's who I have. I have Bolt.
Wow.
Let's go.
Last second clutch up there.
I have Usain Bolt 9, yeah.
Wow. 10 agreements on number 9, and Kyle almost screwed over Corey with this. But anyways, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Banter Ball.
Yeah, you know what? You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy, Brennan?
What?
Because I was expecting us to get this way early, so I was just like half joking, not really fully taking it seriously. So my 10th would have been Albert Pujols because he's my guy, man.
I think he was 10 on the rankings, was he not?
No, I think he's 25, man. I
thought he was pretty high. I don't know.
Yeah, he's high. I think he's above Peyton
high for
Manning,
Pujols.
which I remember being a little interesting.
Let's see that.
Oh my
But
god.
anyways, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Banter Ball. Hopefully next week we'll be back in person. I don't know when.
For the last one. Last one of the season.
Season finale next week. So make sure you guys tune in for that. End of season 2 already. Holy crap. It's been a wild ride with you guys. But we're going to be back around the time September rolls up. So make sure you follow us on all social medias, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. And make sure you go follow our podcast, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We got that on there. So make sure you go follow us all over the place. Boys, is there anything else you want to say here?
Yeah, I have a question. If there's an iHeartRadio viewer out there, could we get like a comment or something? I don't know, because I don't think anyone has ever watched listen to this podcast on iHeartRadio.
Shout out our iHeartRadio viewers, if there is any,
We don't even post the links to iHeartRadio on our socials, so you would have to be looking at iHeartRadio to find
That's right. Anyways.
I have something to say just before we end here.
What?
Michael Phelps was number 1 on the list because that's just an absurd thing to not think that he was.
Yeah, they
one.
did have Michael Phelps. I have LeBron James, but that's fine.
All right.
I think he's the best basketball player of all time. That's absurd. I'm sorry. That's absurd. That's entirely absurd to think that.
Every single year he was relevant.
All right, we can talk about
There's
this
not
when
been
the
an
episode
athlete at a
ends,
higher
but we need
stage.
to end this episode here.
Yeah,
You guys can
every
argue
4 years he's at a higher
Thank
stage.
you all for watching this week's episode of Banterball, and we will see you all later. Have a good night. Have a good day, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you later.